Can everybody hear me? So the first order of business is, how's everybody doing? I'm sorry, this is a Mardi Gras party and that was real weak. Can we try again? How's everybody doing? Much, much better. Okay. So my name is Beth De Palma and I'm not a master, I'm a mistress of ceremonies. I'm the proverbial MC. And we are so excited to have everybody here tonight. We want you to know the fact that everybody is out here, the fact that everybody's enjoying themselves. I see a lot of smiles. I see a lot of glasses of wine. It looks like a party to me. So we're so excited to have you guys here. We've got a great schedule of events for you tonight. I will be guiding you through the schedule. We've got a great band. We've got great speakers. And this is the 7th annual Something for Kelly fundraiser. So let's give it up for that. So in honor of the evening, we're going to take it to the mistress of ceremonies herself, the hostess with the mostest, Miss Patty Giola.
Damien, this is for you. Can you read it? Science. It says science, right? Okay. Somebody needed to see that. So, thank you all for coming out, especially in 2020. I mean, there's challenges and it's very obvious, so I don't need to go through all of them. But also, I would be remiss if I didn't say that because of COVID, my family, who normally does come here, was not able to, but also because of the technology that is afforded to us because of COVID, we are now streaming this, and that very family is also now streaming. And what it is also affording us is family members who have never been able to come to Dallas before are also streaming. So my mom is watching Dallas for the first time, and Kelly's brothers and their lovely, lovely ladies are watching with my sister and her husband. And my sister and brother-in-law's newest grandson is probably there too, unless he's sleeping. So give it up for my family. I wanted to tell you all a little bit about where we've been. Some of you all were here last year, and we invited Dr. Cynthia Bulick, to come to our event. She is an internationally renowned research geneticist, and her work is absolutely amazing. So last year she arrived and gave us the results from her eating disorders research initiative into the intersection of genetics and eating disorders. It was very successful, but building upon that success, Dr. Bulick decided that what she needed to do next was to expand on those results. And her newest initiative is called EDGI, edgi.org. And she has expanded on the results from anorexia, and she's now including binge eating and bulimia. So this is an amazingly ambitious study, and Something for Kelly has decided to put our resources behind this initiative, and that's what we're here to talk about a little bit tonight, but also a lot of party. So science being what it is and technology being what it is, I think we're about ready to have a pre-recorded video that Dr. Bulick has given to us as a message to you all about the importance of her research. So do we have that ready now, David? Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Cynthia Bulick, perhaps better known to my friends in Dallas as Dr. B or Cindy, and I'm so pleased to be with you tonight here for this very special evening with the Something for Kelly Foundation. Of course, I wish we could all be in the same room as we were last year, but these are indeed unprecedented times. I think we're all a little tired of that word, but none of us could have predicted that something like this would have happened during our life. despite what we've all been facing in 2020. That did not stop Patty Giola and the Something for Kelly Foundation from forging ahead and building a partnership with us at the University of North Carolina. Patty's an amazing person, and she's amazing primarily because she doesn't just run a foundation for Kelly that holds walks or holds fundraisers or carnivals, but she does her homework. Patty asks hard questions. She really grilled us to make sure that the science that we were doing at UNC and the work that we're doing with the Eating Disorders Genetics Initiative truly had the potential to move the science of eating disorders forward in an accelerated way. Patty did some research and found out that the average amount of time that it takes to go from a scientific discovery to actually getting treatment in the hands of the people who need to deliver it and receive it is 17 years. And she, like me, is completely unsatisfied with that pace. So she knows that the work we're doing with EDGI is really positioned to make that happen more quickly, in fact, much more quickly. So EDGI, or the Eating Disorders Genetics Initiative, is the largest global study of the genetics of eating disorders ever to be undertaken. The National Institute of Mental Health has funded us to collect samples and clinical information from people in the United States, Australia, New Zealand, and Denmark who have had an eating disorder, anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, binge eating disorder, at any time in their life. And also to gather a lot of information online about the course of their eating disorder and other problems that they might have encountered, like depression and anxiety and substance use, and also events that have happened in their life. Because EDGI isn't just looking at genetics, but we're also looking at environmental factors, because we know that it's not nature or nurture. We know that it's nature and nurture. And our job in EDGI is to understand how both nature and nurture influence risk for eating disorders, both independently and together, how they act and co-act to influence risk for eating disorders. Now, we've also brought on teams in Sweden, and we're bringing on teams in the Netherlands, in Puerto Rico, in Mexico, and we're hoping to bring on a team in Taiwan. Because one of the things that EDGI is dedicated to, and this is another area where we dovetail with Patty, is the critical importance of making sure that our samples are diverse. Because we know that eating disorders don't discriminate. They don't care what your ancestral background is, what your race is, what your ethnicity is. They don't care about your gender, they don't care about your age, and they don't care about your socioeconomic status. So EDGI is trying as hard as possible to make sure that the people who participate in our research really represent how the eating disorders live in the world. And Patty and the Something for Kelly Foundation is really helping us get the word out to all of those communities so that we can invite people to participate in our research and to really make sure that the science that comes out of this work will apply to everyone. Because right now, we don't know if the same genes are actually operating in people in Asia who develop eating disorders or African Americans who develop eating disorders. So that is one of our core missions of EDGI, to make sure that we have a rich and diverse sample. So Patty's going to tell you more about our partnership as the night goes on, but I wanted to give you some basics about what we're doing at EDGI, what we're doing at the University of North Carolina, and this amazing partnership that we forged with the Something for Kelly Foundation. And in closing, I just want to wish you all a safe and a healthy rest of 2020. And above all else, be kind to each other. Everyone that you meet right now is going through something, and you can't always see what people are going through right now. But we know that on the heels of the COVID-19 pandemic, we're also dealing with a mental health pandemic. So be kind with each other, be kind to yourself. And thank you again for having me here tonight. And thank you, Patty, for all that you do with the Something for Kelly Foundation.
So y'all can see why we think so much of Dr. Bulick and her research. 100,000 people we're going to be getting, which is like the largest ever and the most expansive internationally. And We didn't know how everything was going to go, so we did ask for a pre-recorded video, but we did also find a few additional opportunities. And so I reached out to Dr. Bulick last week, I think it was, and I asked if she'd be available to join us, because we have a little bit of a surprise. And I'm kind of keen to do surprises, so she's in what we creatively call the green room right now. And the announcement that we're going to have will begin with Stephen Dunn and Dr. Stephanie Bulick. Dr. Stephanie Bulick. Well, okay, so I just coined the two of you guys together. So sorry. Dr. Stephanie Sutliff, who we have come to know and love and adore. So I'm going to ask that we bring Dr. Bulick in and that Steve come up and begin to explain a little surprise that we have for Dr. Bulick, and she only knows that she's coming on to hear some news. She doesn't know what it's going to be.
Good evening, Doc. Are you there? Can you hear us? Hello?
I'm here. Hi, Steve.
Okay. Good evening, all. We've heard so much from Patty and Dr. B beforehand. There's no doubt that the world as we know it and society as we know it is going to change, is going to either evolve or not. A lot of people will get lost in the ashes and the dust as they try to do things like they've always been done in the past. And I've been so inspired to see the work that Patty has done over the course of the past 4 or 5 months. We've talked about the science that you are doing, and we see so many kids who are impacted by eating disorders today. Some organizations are saying that there's an 80% increase in calls for help since March. And so we've got to find a way to bridge that. We've got some incredibly intelligent people that we can work with, of course, clinicians and research doctors alike. And we know there's got to be a way, there's got to be a better way, and there is. And so I'm going to introduce who's a lady who's become a very good friend of mine. I'm inspired and awed by her. She is one of the preeminent clinicians in the United States when it comes to treating eating disorders. You ask from the West Coast to the East Coast, who do they think about as one of the preeminent doctors? The one who has perhaps saved the most lives, who has helped so much. And inevitably, it comes down to one name, and she's with us tonight. And I want to introduce her and have her come up. Tyler, could you, no, wait, I'm just coming. And so with that, Dr. Stephanie Sutliff.
Hello. Hi, everybody. So I'm the clinician that needs this work. I'm the clinician that is in the trenches every day with these 3 people right here. And we're doing everything we can to save people. We save more than we lose. But also, I would say this, that every time we lose somebody, it's very painful, right? It doesn't matter who it is, how old they are, it doesn't matter. So first, I just want to say, Patty, thank you for bringing this together in, really, 2020. Who does this? You. So thank you. And thank you for wanting to be the bridge between Dr. Bulick's research and us. Because we have the patient population. We have them. We have 90-something people at our treatment center every day. But to get them to agree to this is different than having them, right? So we're so grateful that you're going to help me brainstorm about how to do it. I couldn't be more committed to Dr. Bulick, and I'm one of her stalker fans. I just liked her the minute I met her. I liked her the minute I met her. I liked her the minute I heard about her. She was across the room, and I knew I liked her. I'm a psychiatrist. I like people, I don't like people. So I just knew that I was going to enjoy knowing her and getting to know her better. And then over the last few months, when Patty's told me more and more about EDGI and what ERC could do, I've decided that we are going to help. We can help. We are going to help. I've talked to a couple of our regional clinical directors at different sites. I have the biggest site here with all the beds, and but we've got other sites in Texas, and we are going to figure out a way so that we can be a big force in getting the genetic material that she needs to do the studies that we desperately need in clinical care. Desperately need. So I feel like if I look at her, then I don't get to see her because I have to look here to see her. So I'm going to just say, Dr. Bulick, I'm one of your biggest fans. I'm passionate about what you're doing. I believe in you. I believe in this research. No clinician in the trenches every day cannot believe in this. We believe in it. We are in it every day. So thank you so much for doing this, and thank you, Patty, for bringing us in. So I'm excited about what ERC is going to do, and I think that we're going to help make a difference. She needs saliva samples. She needs spit, and we're going to help her get it. So thank you so much.
Dr. B, that's not all tonight. But, with the incredible help of ERC, we're going to get so many people to participate. But along the way, the last few weeks, some other residential programs have stepped to the plate. And they include our good friend Walter Kay at UC San Diego. He's agreed to participate. The Shoreline Eating Disorder Treatment Center in Southern California has agreed to participate. The Center for Change in Utah has agreed to dive right in and help and do promotional videos, of course. And then we have a Center for Eating Disorders out of Birmingham, Alabama, and they will do everything we can. We'll sign as many kids up down there as they can. And McAllen Place out of St. Louis is so on board as well. And all of them have come together and agreed to help you to participate in your study. So never again will you have just two people from a residential treatment center participating in this. And I'm going to go out to all of the rest as well. And as they said in The Godfather, I'm going to make them an offer they can't refuse. So you're going to get a lot more help. And with that, I'm going to bring Patty back on to say goodnight. And Doc, hope we can talk soon. We love you.
I hope it was worth it sitting in the green room for a few minutes. Thank you so much, Dr. B. I wanted you to actually see and experience as much as we possibly could in person or video or Zoom or whatever we're going to be calling this. So this is the bridge. This is taking Dr. Bulick's science and bridging that 17-year gap with the folks at ERC. And this is the beginning. It's all starting right here tonight. So when you all hear that 17-year gap has been obliterated, you can remember where you heard it first. It didn't happen in some other space. It happened in Dallas, Texas, with you all here, and Dr. Bulick hearing it as well. So, surprise. So, thank you, Dr. Bulick, for joining us.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, we can hear you. So, was there something?
I don't know. Can you hear me, Patty?
Yes.
You can hear me?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. I wish I could be there giving you all big hugs right now. This is the type of partnership that is essential in order to make this happen and to reduce that 17 years to something that's reasonable. Tears of gratitude, and I will never forget Dr. Setliff saying, she needs spit and we're going to help her get it. I think that's the best line I've ever heard.
So everybody on your way out the door, help out Dr. Setliff, give her some of your spit. Because we need some controls too, right? It's not just people with eating disorders. So here's your controls. We got you covered. Thank you, Dr. B. We'll talk soon, okay?
Thank you so much.
Have a great rest of your night.
Have fun.
So, how amazing is that, right? Can I give a hands up? Woo! Nice. You can do better. One more time. Nicely done. So, one of the interesting things is a lot of times when we think about mental health and we think about eating disorders, we think about what's going on in our realm, right? Like what's going on in our community, what's going on in our world, what's going on in our town. But really, this is an international thing, right? We forget that the world experiences these things as well. So one of the beautiful things that Something for Kelly has done is they've actually gathered videos, international videos, of people sharing their thoughts on eating disorders. And actually, some of those videos might remind you of somebody that might have come by your table at some point. So what we'd like to do now is we want you to watch the videos. We want you to know that we had so many, and unfortunately we have to make it a 3-hour night, so we couldn't show every single one of them. And I needed time to talk, so that took out a couple of videos already. But the first one we're going to show tonight is Lisa Myers, so you guys enjoy.
Hi, I'm Lisa Myers. I'm the Executive Director of the Academy for Eating Disorders. And I want to say hello and thank you so much for being a part of this really important initiative and launch. I am a very big fan of Something for Kelly and especially of the founder, Patty Giolot. And I'm so proud of the work that she's doing to spread the word about eating disorders and the fact that, as I'm sure she's told you many times by now, it affects people of all ages, all genders, all nationalities, all around the world. AED is the Academy is the professional society of the men and women who are psychologists, psychiatrists, physicians, and others working with nutritionists, dietitians, parents, those working to help understand the origin of eating disorders and working to treat them and bring relief to the patients suffering from them. Eating disorders is a very misunderstood and ununderstood condition. Somebody dies from an eating disorder every 62 minutes, so it's an extremely important field. And the work that Patty and her team are doing to help spread understanding of the non-discriminatory nature of this terrible disease and her support for Cindy Bulick's work with the EDGY Foundation is so important. So hats off to Patty and her team and to Cindy Bulick and the incredible team with the EDGY project. We have so many great researchers in AED working on so many important projects, but I'm especially proud of the work that Cindy is doing and her team is doing because it is truly multinational, international in scope, and because there are so many thousands and thousands and thousands of people involved in sharing their data and their experience for the study. If there's one thing we need, it's more research and more funding for research, but also we need a wider scope of data, of understanding. So we're not missing any particular demographic segment or group, we're not missing any aspect of this as we move forward together to tackle this really important condition. I wish I could be there with you guys tonight. I'll be there in spirit and I'll be there on Zoom, but I wish I could be there in person to congratulate Patty and the folks from the Something for Kelly Foundation and to personally salute Dr. Bulick for the incredible work that she's doing. But know that I'm there with you in spirit. I'll toast a glass of wine from my living room with my puppy dog and my sweet husband. And I'll be thinking of all of you and cheering on this work that we're doing together. E pluribus unum. Together we are something. Together we can beat this thing and bring relief to the millions of people around the world suffering over the years. I'm proud of you. Thanks for being here and thanks for letting me say hello.
Les troubles alimentaires n'ont pas de frontières.
Il disturbo dell'alimentazione non conosce confini.
Les troubles alimentaires n'ont pas de restrictions sociales.
Il disturbo dell'alimentazione non fa distinzione tra razze.
Les troubles alimentaires sont mondiales.
Il disturbo dell'alimentazione è un problema globale.
Faites partie de la solution.
Sii parte della soluzione.
When you out to the garden, you better watch your back. Though I beg your pardon, you walk the straight and narrow trail. If you are with Jesus, He's gonna save your soul. You gotta help me get the devil way down in the hole. He's got the fire and the fury, all that is for me. Though you don't have to worry, you hold on to Jesus. He keeps you safe on city. When the thunder rolls, you gotta help me get the devil way down in the hole. Yeah. way down in the hall. You gotta help me keep the devil way down in the hall. You gotta help me keep the devil way down in the hole. You gotta help me keep the devil way down in the hole. You gotta help me keep the devil. Because you're mine. Oh, you better stop the flattering that you're doing. Better watch out, I ain't lying. Oh, no, you ain't gonna take none of your fooling around. I ain't gonna take none of your put me down. I'll put a spell on you because you're mine.
Good job, revelers. All right, so we're going to do a check-in. How's everybody doing? Okay, this is the third time now, people. Those are weak woohoos. I'm on the count of three. I'm going to need a better one. 1, 2, 3. Nicely done. As a girl from Mobile, Alabama, that is close to New Orleans, I need to make sure that this is a New Orleans-style party. And we got to make these people proud of us. So one more time. Woohoo. There's free wine, people. I expect a lot more. We do have teeth and we do have electricity. It's a misnomer. No, War Eagle. Sorry, sister. No. Okay, Catherine, you and I. Wine and the step and repeat later. Okay. All right. So we've had a pretty wonderful evening so far. We've got a lot of really good research. We have a lot of really good partnerships. You know, we're all here for this beautiful fundraiser. So one of the things that we're doing, and I just wanted to make sure everybody knew, is we have a fantastic raffle, and it is over in the corner. Now, those of you that are streaming, unfortunately, raffling is not your game. But if you would like to make a donation in lieu of a raffle, that works too. So we're all eating, we're all drinking, we're listening to beautiful music, and thank you, Pascal, for the wonderful food. So I'm going to bring Patty back out on the stage, and she's going to give us a couple of announcements.
No, I intentionally put the mask on. It's a different one now. Okay. It's a different mask. Get it? The international flags. The international flags. This, seriously, I mean, there's some intention here, guys. I'm trying to make light of it and have fun with it, and we need to. But the truth of the matter is, there's a lot of perception that this is a North American rich white girl problem. And it's not. It's international. It's international. It's international, right? Okay. So Something for Kelly is bridging the gap from science to solutions. And we have another announcement coming up here where we talked with you about what we did last year, which is the Anorexia Nervosa Genetics Initiative. And then I came to the awareness that this 17-year gap is totally unacceptable. I'm kind of getting really good with this spiel that, like, 1950, okay, 17 years, I get it. 2020, fast forward, I don't think so. You know, if you think of how far we have come since March, I mean, Something for Kelly is streaming live. It is not going to take us a flippin' 17 years to get Dr. Bulick and doctors from ERC and our other sponsor here tonight from Acadia to help us reduce that gap. So I want to thank Acadia, which is the largest behavioral research service in the world. Thank you very much. Chris Getz is here to represent them and talk about the next phase that we're already beginning. And my colleague, Damien, will come up and talk a little bit more about that. But let me tell you a little bit about how this was created. When I started to do the research of what were we going to accomplish at Something for Kelly, I'm kind of really big on efficiency of resources. So I did my homework and I came to the awareness that primarily the resources that did exist were for teenagers up into people in their early 20s. And so I'm a big fan of eliminating redundancy, so I didn't feel like we needed to be spending a lot of time in that space. So we wanted to do work with kids and with kids who have parents that have eating disorders. So when I met the next gentleman that I would like to bring up and visit, Damien, and he started to talk to me about a vision that he had that would help kids, I thought this would be just the most perfect connection. And I'm not going to steal any of his thunder or tell you about it because I couldn't do a better job than he can. So Damien, can you come up here and tell my friends and my family what we're going to be doing, like, in the near future with you?
Absolutely. Thank you, Patty. Thank you, thank you. You see me running around here tonight doing production and things like that. That's my background. I've worked in advertising for years, but several years ago I started working towards a nonprofit to work with children. And the nonprofit's called Camp Wonder, Camp Wonderment. And the whole idea, before I get into the eating disorder aspect of this, and then I'm going to have my colleague Corey step up, because she can talk way more intelligently than I can, and fix any things that see, that's why you go second. You get to fix all the things I say wrong. There's a strategy. So what my background's film and TV, and before that I was a minister and I worked with teenagers. I could never find a way to really work with children to where I felt like I was able to make an impact with children who have experienced trauma, like real trauma. Children who've had the worst day of their life already at the age of 9. People who've already experienced the worst in humanity by the time they're 11 and 12. Over the years, it developed in my heart and in working with startups and working in the entertainment industry to create an immersive camp where children that are in therapy can come along with their therapist and we can walk them through what's called the hero's journey. Has anyone ever heard of the hero's journey? Joseph Campbell's? So Joseph Campbell, years and years ago, he created this concept that all of us are on a similar journey, and there's 10 to 12 steps, and you've seen this, right? Like Obi-Wan Kenobi, and in Lord of the Rings, you've got Gandalf. There's these stereotypes that you see over time in story. And by walking kids through the hero's journey, we take them from trauma and we reframe them as the heroes of their own journey. And we bring in performers from Cirque du Soleil, we bring in special effects, we bring in all the air cannons, we make dragons fly, we do all this insanity, kind of Disney level performance to create an environment of wonder. And what I mean by that, and I learned this and it devastated me, is that when children are traumatized, they instantly forget how to play. Now don't get that confused with play therapy and these things. They just forget how to engage. They forget how to play. They forget how to imagine, how to dream. And that broke my heart. And I have no intention of going to school to be as intelligent as many of you in the room. So my idea was, how do I use my entertainment background? And Camp Wonder was born. And so it's an immersive therapeutic camp. We launch it in January. We're having our first beta camp. That's what we're calling it. Corey Hawkins, will you go ahead and come on up here with me? Corey, thank you. Yes. Corey was one of the first on our clinical side to sign on and see the vision, and Corey has been designing the actual camp curriculum for us. There's a lot of things that I can explain. There's a lot of ways to unpack this. The therapy continues even after they go home. There's no way I can go into all of it right now. We're so excited because the first population that we picked to work with was the eating disorder population. And my feeling in that, and working with Patty and getting to know Patty, is that Patty can be our community liaison, can help us get in contact with the right people to where we can start working with children that are being affected from eating disorders, whether it's themselves or a brother, a sister, a parent, whatever it might be. And so this year we're putting together, Corey gets to customize the curriculum specifically for different parts of eating disorders. I'll let her talk about that. I have no idea how to actually explain that. But we are so excited to be working in a partnership with Patty, because as I've told a lot of people that our first group that we're working with is in eating disorders, what I've been told is that if you can do it there, it will work almost anywhere. That working with children who have experienced eating disorders and are working in that space, that's really one of the best places to develop this. And so as the universe does, Patty showed up, and you see the kind of people Patty's working with, Dr. Bulick, Dr. Setliff, all the different people that are here. It's just extremely exciting. So my average day goes from figuring out how to blow up trees to make it look like a dragon flying over, to talking to Corey about therapeutic moments, to talking to my attorney. It's insanity as we're getting it all together. And I could not be more thankful for Patty. And I do want to say this. This is not, I didn't write this down. We're all here because we believe in combating this eating disorder, this monster. I love it when people refer to it as a monster. But we're also here because of Patty. Everyone that's here is here because of Patty, because of her heart, because of her vision. And Patty will tell you, I told Patty no. How long was it? Did I say no to work together? Right. I have had so many bad experiences with nonprofits. I have been in and out of nonprofits my whole life, and I watched, I don't want this to be offensive, but this is what I told Patty. I don't want to work within a nonprofit that's just going to be an ivory tower, and we're all going to sit around and make each other feel important. And then I hung out with Patty, and I saw what she was doing. And she showed me Dr. Bulick, and we started developing this conversation. Patty is looking for a way to fill in the gaps that are happening in the eating disorder space. I just cannot imagine a more God-send partner. And so I'm deeply grateful for you, Patty. I think we should all say thank you to Patty for what she's doing. Amen. All right. Corey? You got to land this, man. Like, I went all over the place. I want science. Science.
That is very stressful. So I'm very excited to be here tonight. It is an honor to be here with everyone who is supporting something for Kelly. I am still learning a lot about this world too, and so it feels a little overwhelming to be around people who are doing such great work. I had a friend reach out to me and put me in touch with Damien about Camp Wonder, and she said, you have to talk to this guy because you're in the trenches, as you said. And I suppose I am in the trenches, and we forget that sometimes. I am a therapist in Longview, Texas. I'm a social worker, and I am a trauma therapist. So I work with children and teens who have experienced trauma. I call them all children. They're children and they're children, but they've been through a lot. And what I have learned is that you can't work with children without working with their families. And you can't work with families without working with the community. And so what happens with any mental illness in a family is that it impacts all of us. So I know Damien wanted me to bring in science. And I hear that a lot of you in this room are involved with mental health, and I don't know about everyone at home. So I don't want to bore you with details. I could talk a really long time about all of those details. But we know that mental illness and trauma and early adverse childhood experiences greatly impact people, and they impact our society. And so in my work that I do, what I get to hear is their stories. So I work on a very small level, individually, these people. What first caught my attention about Camp Wonder is that it uses the hero's journey and the narrative of people's lives to reach them and to bring healing. I couldn't figure out why that was so familiar. So when I was first talking to Damien, I had heard all of this before and I didn't know why. So part of my story is I did not start out as a trauma therapist. That was never the plan. I actually started as an anthropologist. And I'm excited to hear about all of the international partnerships happening with Something for Kelly, because the hero's journey is an international model. Across all cultures, you see the same stories. We tell ourselves the same stories. There are stories of overcoming adversity and becoming the hero of your own life. And that is something that is missing in my clients. So as young as those things happen to them, they begin to rewrite their stories. And their histories become their trauma, and they're deeply impacted. And so children and families who have these early adverse experiences are at risk for depression, for anxiety, for eating disorders. This impacts everybody. But it also extends beyond that. Those people without treatment and without help, they become a part of other systems. They have a hard time succeeding economically. They have a hard time accessing education, and that impacts our society as well. So when I think of Camp Wonder, it reminds me of a part of the story that I always hear from my clients. If you work with kids and teens who have mental health disorders, who are suffering from eating disorders, one of the things their families will tell you is they need more. There is not enough out there. There is not enough treatment. There's not enough support. They need our support. Seeing a therapist once a week is not enough for some of these families. They need more. I have worked in therapeutic camps before, and I've developed some of my own, which is why I was put in touch with Damien in the first place. And camps are so unique for these families because they can offer a partnership with these families. You can work with their therapists. You can come alongside someone who is already in treatment. But they are also a really unique launching point for families who maybe haven't quite started their journey of healing, but they can get them started on that. A camp can be a part of lasting change. And what a camp it could be. I mean, you heard Damien describe some of the things you can do. Camp Wonder offers an immersive experience that lets that child become the hero of their own story. It gives them an opportunity, sometimes for the first time, to rewrite the future that they didn't know they had. And if we can place that child as the hero of their story, they're no longer the problem. The problem is the problem. Like you said, eating disorders can be a monster. You can either become your eating disorder or you can fight it. And you need to make that decision for yourself. And so Camp Wonder offers this unique opportunity to put yourself as the hero of your story, to empower families, and to have families tell a different story of themselves. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm so proud to be able to work with Corey because we met during the COVID insanity, and so we've seen each other once during all this time. And so I do have to say this before we roll the next video. It was COVID that accelerated Camp Wonderment. When it first happened, my son, Ronan, curly dude, raise your hand. Yep, everyone sees you. Ronan, what's up? Raise some money, son. Ronan was having a hard time understanding what COVID was, and so we started making movies in the backyard, remember? And then your sister Morgan played an alien, and we dressed up the hallway, and we started trying to explain what a virus and all this stuff was by making films. And it accelerated it. And I just want to say for everyone that's in here, wonder is not an emotional soft skill. It's not an afterthought. It is something that we were all born installed into our spirit, into our heart. It is our path to our divinity. It's our path to our healing. And so while I do not operate on the clinical side, and the rest of you that do, what my job is to create moments of such awe, like when I was a child and I remember looking at the stars for the first time. Like, I have vivid memories of looking at the stars and my mind being blown. There's something that happens when a child has a moment where their mind is just blown with awesomeness. Just to give you an idea, I have to. All week, kids come to this camp, and as they're walking back to their cabins, they see these fireflies about 200, 300 yards. You knew I was going to tell this story. About 200, 300 yards away as they're walking every night, just fireflies. And then on Thursday night, as they're walking back to their cabin, the fireflies begin to swirl around, and it turns into a 6-story fairy that is reaching out to them and trying to give them a hint for tomorrow. And these kids stand there. They didn't know that those fireflies for 4 days were LEDs that we planted out in the woods. We filmed fireflies and copied the math from how they fly. And in case you don't know this, their ass keeps glowing. And that is an essential point to make this look real. And so we've been doing hard work on firefly glowing asses while she's writing the actual curriculum. That is my job. That is her job. Yeah. So everyone thank God for Corey. Thank you. All right, let's watch that next video, David. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Dr. Sarah Maguire. I'm coming to you from the Inside Out Institute in Sydney, Australia. I'm a clinical psychologist, a policy maker and implementer, I suppose, and a researcher, and I've been working in the field of eating disorders for over 20 years. I've become so involved with EDGI because I think it is the single most important large-scale trial that's happening in our illness group at this time. Obviously, if we can determine the genetic drivers of this complex mental and physical illness, then not only do we make leaps and bounds in our understanding of causation, but we also, through this very important genetic research, derive targets for treatment and prevention. So if you or anyone you know has had a lived experience of an eating disorder at any time, either now or in the past, please head to the EDGI website, EDGI, Eating Disorders Genetic Initiative.org. You just need to fill out a simple questionnaire, and then we'll send you through the post a kit to do a brief saliva sample that you send back to us, and that's it. And together we can hopefully find the genes for these complex illnesses.
Essstörungen ist ein weltweites Problem.
Eating disorders knows no boundaries.
Es kennt keine Grenzen, keine Farben.
Eating disorder knows no racial restrictions.
Keine Farben, keine Rassen.
Eating disorders are global.
Seid ein Teil der Lösung.
Be part of the solution.
'cause in our lives we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, I'll be your friend, I'll help you carry on, and for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. So just call on me, brother, if you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'd understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, I'll be your friend, I'll help you carry on, and for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. So just call on me, brother, if you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'd understand. We all need somebody to lean on. So please swallow your pride if there are days that you are needing for. No one can know all of your needs. If you want it, us all lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend, I'll help you carry on, and for it won't be long, and I'm gonna need somebody to lead. Yeah, you guys tell me something. Lean on me when you're not strong, I'll be your friend, I'll help you carry on, and for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, I'll be your friend, I'll help you carry on, and for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. So just call me, oh just call me, oh just call me, oh just call me.
y'all ever go down to New Orleans, you might want to stay clear of St. Louis. The graveyard bones make a rattling sound. The dead get up and start walking around. Now y'all might not believe me if I told y'all it was true. Cause you were too, it can happen to you. I spent the night on a graveyard there. What I saw gave me a terrible scare. I said rattling bones, creeping from around behind a stone. If you don't wanna see them, then you best stay home. Cause ain't no running from the rattling bone. It was true. Cause you were too, it can happen to you. I spent the night on the graveyard there. What I saw gave me a terrible scare. I said rattling bone, creeping from around behind a stone. If you don't want to see 'em, then you better stay home. Cause ain't no running round the rattling bone. Yeah, rattling bone, creeping from around behind that stone. If you don't want to see 'em, then you better stay home. Why? 'Cause ain't no running round the
That was me singing and Phil sang that one. I sang Lean on Me, and then he sang his last song.
Thanks, revelers. I'm going to need a bigger round of applause for the revelers. Nicely done. Okay, so we don't have any huge announcements. So we were originally going to do an auction, but there's a lawyer in house that felt that I was a menace to society with a gavel. So we've made it a raffle. If you disagree, he sits at that table over there. So, there is an amazing trip to Las Vegas. It's in a penthouse. It's lovely. It's the MGM Grand. And if you don't get it, this table and I will. So, I suggest you buy a raffle ticket because it's a pretty amazing vacation and it supports our most favorite foundation. So, I think we're all doing okay. How's dinner? Dude, okay. By this time in the evening, you should know if you've got weak sauce, I'm going to make you raise it up. So how is dinner? Nicely done. For you that are streaming, I'm sorry about your Stouffer's lasagna that you're eating tonight. If you had come, you might have felt differently. But unfortunately, do your thing, boo. All right. So I'm looking at my list of to-dos. I believe we've covered everything that we have to. And now we're going to bring Patty back onto the stage for an announcement.
Thank you. Okay, I think it's really important to acknowledge that obviously this is a project. And the people who helped me here tonight made this all possible. Because repeatedly, consistently, I received a message that said, you do you and we will do the other things. So I would like to acknowledge the people who have supported me tonight, beginning with, obviously, Beth De Palma. Damien. Corey, not exactly a volunteer, but incredibly, incredibly important. And all of the team of, I think there's so many Skinners here, it's like Team Skinner. Can I just say Team Skinner? I think that's fair, right? Vicky, who is like, yeah, she is all things understanding of nonprofits. The number of times I go to her and I say, what's the best way to blah, blah, blah? You do much more with nonprofits. I mean, I know how to be on a board. I don't know how to run one. And, you know, I said, here's a bag of money, get a raffle going, what do you think? So she, and her table there, Larry and Pam, and her wonderful husband, Glenn. And I cannot say enough about Eating Recovery Center because you guys are just so amazingly near and dear to my heart. So thank you for what you do. And right from the beginning, Team Haggerty over here. I mean, you know, Team Vavrick, Haggerty. I mean, I don't know what all to call you guys, but you have been here every year. And so I really thank you for continuing to support us. And just for the record, everybody, we are taking the 2020 incredibly serious. The executive team of SFK team all went out and got COVID tests today. None of us thought we had COVID. Nobody was worried about it. I'm going to be very careful with how I say. I want to be careful not to say the results were positive. The results were good, okay? The results were negative. We are all tested, and we are negative. So we are taking this health very seriously. I want you to know that. So the Center Club, the whole reason that we even have the band available to us is Chris Getz. She invited us to her home, and for what it's worth, the band is tested regularly for COVID because they do make public appearances. A lot of the other tables that are here tonight are in the world of mental health, and because of that, they're tested regularly. I want you to know that even though we're in a group here tonight, we are not being sloppy with behavior. So this is, to me, an important thing to share with everybody. I co-host every Monday morning the Mental Health Moment, which was born out of something for Kelly because I came to learn that very few people actually have an eating disorder in isolation. It usually has a co-occurring issue. And so born out of that was the Mental Health Moment so that we could acknowledge that it wasn't just eating disorders. And Dr. Bulick, as you may remember, said that they were going to deal with the nature and nurture. So every Monday morning at 8:30, I have, along with Stephen Dunn, a 30-minute podcast, which is sponsored by Acadia. And Chris, I really thank you for that. That's amazing. Appreciate you. So the reason that the Center Club got named as such is because of Beth De Palma. We were having a party at her home in the backyard because we had the revelers there. And she was being very responsible, and so we had the party outside. Thank you very much. And Beth was taking pictures and sharing them. And what Beth meant to say was, this is from the dinner club that we were all having, but instead she misspoke and said this is the Sinner Club, which we thought was pretty appropriate, so we adopted.
So now you are all part of the Sinner Club.
This is now an expanded version of the Sinner Club. Who likes the Sinner Club? Is that cool or what? Woohoo! I'm taking on your page, Beth.
Who's coming next year to the Sinner Club dinner?
We could have another Sinner Club dinner. Beth, sing it out. Beth, loud and proud. So, yeah, we even know this group because of a lot of the people that are in this group. I mean, we know this band because of the people that are in this group and the people that I call Beth's tribe. So, we're getting ready for the next part, which is, okay, you know what we did last year. A lot of you were already here. You know what we're going to be doing, like in the near term, dealing with this issue that I really believe is incredibly important, helping kids, whether it's kids who currently struggle because of their personal experience or kids who personally struggle because of their home life experience with their family. Now, this is a futuristic idea because Something for Kelly is really committed to innovation. And that is something that has just exploded in this calendar year. And it was important to me that we not just give up on doing our work. And so from the beginning of the night, I told you about my mom being able to join us, and I told you about parts of my other family being able to join us. There was somebody who had to leave a little bit ago, but one of our board members took the time to fly in from Chicago to join. Of course, it was the Haggerty clan. So she's part of the Vavrick Haggerty clan. So let's give her an applause, because she took the time, even though her daughter was ill in St. Louis. We're streaming from many different states right now. Before Cindy had to leave, Cindy Vavrick, thank you very much. Before she had to leave, she said to me, I love Damian Skinner. She said, what he is doing for Something for Kelly, and the energy and this Camp Wonder and what we are getting accomplished, that we haven't been able, not that we haven't been able to do, let me rephrase that. Because when we started out, I didn't know 100% what I wanted to do. So I was doing a lot of research around what a lot of organizations do. They were raising consciousness and they were raising awareness. Well, we got to a point where we said, I think there's enough awareness of eating disorders out there that that's not really a thing anymore. We're still busting the stereotypes and the myths, but Damien and I have been talking over the last few months about innovation, and Dr. Setliff and Damien and I were at a dinner not terribly long ago, and a story that she was telling us and that we started to expand on was how many places and situations are surrounded with shame. So, first of all, there's shame if you struggle with an eating disorder. There's shame if you struggle with a mental health illness. There is shame if your kid has a mental health illness. I can't tell you how many people said to me, I'm sorry, I won't attend one of your events because I really don't want to acknowledge that my kid has a problem. So parents have shame because their kids have mental illness. People who struggle with mental illness have shame because they have this struggle. Dr. Setliff has explained to us about how professionals sometimes struggle if they think they could have done a better job and it didn't happen. And a very, very dear friend of mine who's streaming with us tonight. So, Gloria, if you're still in the room streaming, this one's for you, girl. We're going to do more stories around shame, but Gloria is sort of a parallel to Dr. Bulick. Dr. Bulick started her career in the world of eating disorders in the 1980s. And she's obviously a psychiatrist and a world-renowned geneticist. Gloria was a nurse in rural southern, I'm sorry, Gloria, if I get the state wrong, is it Alabama? Louisiana. Well, that's where she lives now, but I think back in the day, Arkansas. Thank you. Okay, Gloria, I wanted to get it right. She was living in a small town, and she was a nurse in a very small hospital. They had a patient who had anorexia. They didn't know what to do with this patient. And so much of the shame around not being able to help this patient, to the point where ultimately the hospital had to refer this patient out to another hospital. And all of the nurses and the medical providers felt shame that they couldn't help this person. So that planted a seed in Damien and my mind that, sounds like we have a single mind, I'm sorry, that didn't come out. Damien's mind and my mind. And I wanted for Damien to come up and talk a little bit about maybe this next project that he and I are exploring, because we do a lot of research before we actually commit to something. But that's sort of the seed level of where we're going next. So, Damien, is now a convenient time for you to join us? Okie doke.
Thank you, Patty. We can make this brief. I mean, where we're at right now is we're just starting the research part of this. But as an advertiser, and that's been my background, working in agencies, we have a gift for finding things that work. That's what we're hired to do, to look for messaging, to look for ways to communicate. And most nonprofits tend to miss that as a resource. So when I wasn't wanting to work with nonprofits, I would just offer it up as like, here, you don't have to pay me, here's some advice. That's kind of how we met, through a friend. From the time that I met Patty until today, it's been a good amount of time, but as an outsider, what I kept hearing was shame. I would hear shame, shame, shame. Every conversation, everybody Patty would introduce me to, there was just so much shame. And what we do is we look for things that aren't being addressed. We don't need to go out. Patty and I don't need to become child psychologists. There's plenty that are doing good work. We don't need to start another clinic. We don't need to do these things. People are doing that. We need to look for things that we can actually work on. So what we're looking for right now, and we're sitting down in innovation groups where we're working with engineers, we're working with people from all different backgrounds to find very practical, technical-based ways to limit shame and to bring the shame aspect down just in eating disorders. Now, that sounds very high and lofty, but at one point, Camp Wonder was high and lofty, and at one point, Edgy was lofty as hell. I mean, you gotta imagine how lofty that idea was. I gotta stop cussing. So, today, what we're starting is the actual research on how we can, with technical partners, with engineers, find ways to limit and control the amount of shame that children, everyone is experiencing. Because we, mostly Patty, has been looking and doing the research. There's not anybody really focusing on that. People are focusing on treating those with eating disorders, thank God. People are treating all these different areas, but we want to bring these resources to see how we can, and I'll give you an example. So Patty and I will be in a meeting and somebody will talk about something that just is a major problem. And then I'll call Colin, if you're watching Colin. He was going to be here, but his kid's sick, so good dad. I'll call Colin and I'll just say, look, there's people that don't want to ask for advice because they're ashamed to have to ask for advice. What can we do about that? Well, Colin's built, 7 tech companies. He's sold them all. He's like, well, that's easy. And he rattles off a bunch of stuff that I don't understand. And then he shows it to me, and I'm like, oh, that's easy. And then I go to Patty, and I go, hey, there is technology that's out there that can manage the amount of exposure that people have around shame. When Stephen Dunn and Stephanie were on you guys were making a speech to Apple. It was an incredible presentation to Apple. I was there, and somebody asked a question, and it blew my mind. And again, I'm an outsider to all of this. This lady, do you remember this? The lady was saying, how do I find a dentist that isn't going to make fun of me when I couldn't believe it. I almost fell out of my chair. I could not believe that you go in to have dental work and the dentist gives you issues over your eating disorder. I couldn't believe it. I became obsessed with figuring out how to do it. And so as of right now, we are beta testing referral programs for dentists who are specific for eating disorders. So my whole approach with Patty has an intimate insight into this. I have an outside insight. There are common technologies that are laying on the ground that we can use, that people use to find rides to grocery stores. We can repurpose this tech and use it to limit the amount of shame and exposure that people are having so that they don't hide and then they don't wind up finally addressing it when they're in the later stages. So we have Edgy, which is incredible, then we have Camp Wonder, and then in 2022, we will be launching an initiative around shame, around how to handle it, and we want to address it on a medical level, on a family level, and on an individual level. So this time next year, or whenever you have it next year, we will be announcing to you what it's called, how it's branded, what it is, and how we're rolling it out. But we wanted you to hear first at the fundraiser that that's where we're reaching next. Excellent.
Thank you. I think is this, oh, they're about to serve dessert? Okay. The band's going to play because we're going to have dessert. So enjoy whatever apple tart or chocolate mousse or whatever you guys are having at home.
Yes, I'll be down to get you in the taxi, baby. Be ready about 8:30. Now, baby, don't be late. I'm gonna be there when the band starts playing. Remember, when we get down, honey, 2 steps we're gonna have a ball. We're gonna dance off our shoes when the band plays the early road blues. Oh, tomorrow night at the Dark Town Strutter's Bar. Yeah, I'll be down to get you in my Honda, baby. Be ready by 8:30. Now, baby, don't be late. I wanna be there when the band starts playing. Remember, when we get down, honey, 2 steps we're gonna have a ball. We're gonna dance off our shoes when the band plays the Jelly Roll Blues. Oh, tomorrow night at the Dark Town Strutter's Bar. Get you out the baby. Be ready by 8:30. Now, baby, don't be late. I wanna be there when the band starts playing. Remember, when we get there, honey, 2 steps we're gonna have a ball. We're gonna dance off our shoes when the band plays the Jelly Roll Blues. Oh, tomorrow night at the Dark Town Strutter's Bar. All right.
The sun is strange and neighborhood. Who you gonna call? It is something weird and it don't look good. Who you gonna call? I better not go say. There's something strange going through your head. Who you gonna call? An invisible man sleeping in your bed. everybody likes the goat. Here's the best part of the song. Let me tell you something. Bustin' makes me feel good. I ain't ready no more, say.
band a round of applause. They've been awesome tonight. Thank you, guys. Absolutely. And several of you have been asking me about how to contact the band. Christian is the drummer. You're going to want to reach out to Christian to book these guys. They're awesome. Go ahead. No problem. So, if I can get everyone's attention real quick, we're going to start wrapping up the evening. Tonight is... Everybody, please listen up. This is probably the most important part of the evening. Look at that. See, you know. Shh. It's the Skinner table. Thank you. It's my sister, of course. So, one of the things that first impressed me so much when I met Patty through a mutual friend was the name of her organization. And people ask me often what the name actually means, because it's a pretty unique name. Something for Kelly Foundation. And I had the chance to sit with Patty and record her actual video that's on our website. And when she explained the name, I remember feeling, and I'm a filmmaker, I'm a storyteller, so I'm looking for that emotional aspect. And what Patty explained to me was that when Kelly was on this earth, what you felt, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so I'm looking at you, so. In particular, Patty felt what a lot of people feel, which was she wanted to do something, but she didn't know what that something should be. Is that accurate? And the pain that everyone felt after Kelly, we call it transition. My wife and I like to say transition versus anything else. When Kelly transitioned, the pain that the family, that people felt about doing something. And this is what brought me really into this nonprofit, was the idea that so many people that aren't educators, that so many people that aren't, PhD, they're not working, there's this torment for family members of wanting to do something, of not knowing what to do, not knowing what to say or how to be there. And Patty, instead of becoming bitter, instead of becoming angry, Patty has continued to pour her resources and her energy into finding that something. What is that something that we can do? And I think you found it. I really do. With Dr. Bulick, with myself and Camp Wonder, of course. But you really have found a way to make an impact so that more families don't have to wonder that question. They don't have to wonder what that something is. You are helping provide that something for millions and millions of people. And so tonight, you all know that this is a fundraiser. One of the things I love about Patty is she runs probably about the leanest, meanest nonprofit I've ever known. Her overhead is less than our food bill on most films. It's incredible how efficient and how effective she is with donations. But I am going to ask tonight that you do something for Kelly, that you do something tonight, that you find a way to give. Where is Miss Vicky? There's Miss Vicky. Vicky, high hands. This is one of the coolest ladies I've met through Patty. When you are getting ready to leave, if you want to do something for this foundation, if you want to give, I would ask that you would see Vicky right over here. You checked in with her when you came in. She can process credit cards, she can take checks, she can whatever. But this is the annual fundraiser. This is how Patty pays to operate. And so I'm asking everyone, whether you're watching, and if you're watching, you can go to somethingforkelly.org. There's a convenient donate button right there. Is that for me? Are you serving? Okay. That's such good service. So if you're watching, you can go to somethingforkelly.org and you can donate. If you're here, you can see the lovely Vicky or my sister Melissa, who's normally talking. What I would ask you to do is to do something, to do anything that you can on your way out. Now, this is what's going to be interesting, that we have a little bit of a logistics issue. Our amazing band is, how many of you guys know what a second line is? Anyone? Wow, all right, this is going to be a rare treat. These gentlemen are going to begin playing, and they're going to come in and they're going to walk through, and you're supposed to shank what? Shank. That's some prison terminology. Shank whoever you need. I'm getting some money up in here. Sorry, I digress. Shake your Holy Ghost hanky, as we called them when I was a kid, and we're all going to follow, if you want to participate, you don't have to, but you're going to follow the band out in a second line progression, and then you can come back in and make your donation, get your purse, whatever you need to do. How's that sound? Awesome. Patty, do you want to come up and thank? I do. As Patty's coming up, I want to specifically thank Galligan Media. That's these guys back here that have been running all this. Thank you, guys. When Patty said that she wanted to stream this tonight, I told her, didn't I? There's only one guy to hire. It's David Galligan. He's a beast. Everybody needs to hire Galligan Media. And then, of course, Amanda, who's been taking the photos. And don't forget, if you did not get your photos done over here in front of the Step and Repeat, that's a fancy name for a banner with a logo on it. Please do that. You want to say thank you?
No, I don't want to say thank you. Vicki, what are you asking for? We have the drawings in addition, okay, for the raffle. We are going to email the winner because apparently not everybody fully understood and we're at the end of the night. So we need to get a few more raffle tickets. We are going to draw the raffle, and everybody came here and sent an email so we know who everybody is. We will also announce the winner on our website so that that is very obvious what we ended up doing. We want to make sure that everybody has a chance to participate. So this was our first ever try at something streaming, and I feel like the evening was very successful because so many people were willing to come out, and I'm most grateful and appreciative for every one of you personally who made the time to join us either in person or streaming. Thank you, Mom, if you're still awake. And Nancy and Randy and Kelly's brothers and Amy and Carrie and all of my friends and Gloria, and we're streaming from many different states tonight. So for a first try, I think we did a pretty darn good job, and I'm grateful for all of you and your time, and I just hope you have the rest of a wonderful evening. Enjoy your meal, and I don't have anything else to say except thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.